I want to talk about a very interesting series my girlfriend and I discovered randomly while on Netflix called School Spirits. This is a TV show head starring Peyton List, who most know her from her time on the Disney Channel show Jessie. Her character, Maddie, has woken up deceased in her high school and is befriended by the ghosts of former students who have passed away at the same school throughout the last several decades. In this series, Maddie doesn't remember how she died, which is strange because all the other ghosts can recall the exact moments of events. So they band together to help her remember. The ghosts all have a therapy class where they sit in the gymnasium and talk with Mr. Martin, the oldest spirit in the school, a science teacher who passed away and is spending his afterlife trying to help the other spirits pass over to the great beyond. Yeah, a huge plot point is that the spirits are all stuck on school grounds and are trying their best to overcome their trauma so that they may enter eternity. The spirits educate us that only one of them has ever passed over, that being a student named Janet. Not much is said about Janet other than this, but all the ghosts are trying to follow in her footsteps so that they too may leave the school. While this is happening, in the living world, Maddie's friends are grieving over her sudden disappearance, for Maddie's blood was found in the school basement, but no body. In fact, that becomes the major talking point. Maddie doesn't remember how she died, and her body is nowhere to be found, so now we watch as the living and dead try their best to solve the mystery of Maddie's death. But there is one final catch. Maddie's friend Simon can see and talk to her ghost. Off the rip, this show is extremely captivating and had me hooked. It's this exciting episodic drama as we see characters piece together this mystery with extremely limited communication, as none of Maddie's friends besides Simon can see the ghosts, but Simon can only see Maddie and not any of the other spirits. The episodes focus on a single suspect per episode, and usually end proving that that suspect is innocent of the crime, such as following Maddie's boyfriend, Xavier, who is mentally disturbed and seemingly the killer, only to discover he was cheating on Maddie, which is why he was so suspicious. And then following Maddie's math teacher, who is also very shady, but come to discover he has been laundering money and not killing his students. The show keeps you guessing the whole time, so I began to make my predictions, which somewhat came true. While watching the usual status quo of the show, I made two bets. 1. I bet that Maddie's body isn't actually dead. I don't know what the answer could be, but it seemed like her corpse was nowhere to be found, so I believed it's alive somewhere. And 2. I didn't trust Mr. Martin. Even though Martin is a very polite and helpful character, he seemed overly concerned with everyone else's business and was not shown nearly as often as the other supporting spirits who were helping Maddie. Fast forward to episode 8, the finale, where the big twists are revealed. Come to find out Mr. Martin was keeping secrets all along, and Maddie's body is in fact alive. It has been possessed. Remember that one ghost I mentioned earlier named Janet? Yeah, she never passed on. It was all a lie. Janet instead possessed Maddie's body and ran off to live again, stranding Maddie's ghost at the school. Mr. Martin, who told everyone for a long time that Janet did pass on, now panics and reveals to the audience that he can seemingly leave school grounds the entire time. What the fuck? What an awesome finale. Going into this show, I assumed it was an 8-episode miniseries that would have wrapped up in 8 episodes because, well, there was only one season on Netflix. Funny enough, when we got to around episode 7, we noticed in the opening theme that there were credits stating a Paramount original series. We were immediately thrown for a loop because we've been binging on Netflix. So I swapped us over to Paramount Plus after we binged all the episodes only to discover an entire season 2. The game is on. Time to find the answers to all our questions. Now, unfortunately, this is where things take a turn because I'll be real, I did not enjoy Season 2 nearly as much as Season 1. Season 2 is this 2-story journey where we pick up with Maddie and her friends trying to locate her body, as well as watching Janet, who is the ghost possessing Maddie's body, navigating the living world again. Overall, a lot of interesting lore drops, such as revealing these things called scars. So a scar is an object tied to a person's spirit that when held by that person in the location of their death allows them to revisit the day they died. For example, one of the ghosts named Wally holds his football and while on the field relives the moment he sustained a fatal injury while playing. This concept is awesome and is the focal point for the ghosts trying to discover how to leave the school, and we get a cool twist where apparently Mr. Martin has a way he can travel and hide between all of the other ghost scars, which is where he's been after the reveal in Season 1 of him being an antagonist. But the tiring aspect of this season for me is the constant chase, where our characters obtain their objective, but then immediately something gets in the way, or a character makes a stupid decision to pad out the runtime. And this happened every single episode, where it became exhausting, because you want the answers to these questions, and the characters get right there before something happens, and now you're watching a 30-minute side plot to try and get back to the same spot you were just in. This is prominent when Maddie's friends capture Janet, and they have her, and instead of taking her right back to the school to try and get her out of Maddie's body, they take her to a secret location. Then they go back to the school to find proof for Janet that they're trying to help her, and then they split up, and then characters get annoyed and leave, and then Janet breaks free, and then someone else comes to take Janet, and then they look for Janet, and then Janet finally decides to help them. So it is exhausting at times. Season 2 also does some strange stories, like at one point having one of their characters get hit by a car and temporarily dying and seeing that ghosts are real, and then being revived and is now believing in the paranormal shit that the other friends were hesitant about believing at first. Or that weird online relationship story between two characters that don't know that they're talking and falling in love with each other online, but figure it out later and they have a whole spat about it, when you just want to watch them move on because that's not interesting at all, and you'd rather see what's happening with literally any other character in the show. I like to call this the Walking Dead effect, where the main story is easily accomplished in 4 episodes, but due to the producers wanting longer seasons, they stretch it out and add multiple weird B stories to get to that 8 or 9 episode mark, when I think School Spirits would have benefited greatly from the limited series format. But Season 2, despite its flaws, isn't bad in any way. It's just not as good as Season 1. So now we are left with our questions still unsolved, and a greenlit Season 3 in pre-production, and I can only hope they don't dance around the major plot points next time, because to be honest, if this show reaches a Season 4 or 5 or somehow more, it's ridiculous. Even though I was harping on the show here near the end, I still had a good time. I would recommend you check it out for yourselves, because it is a breath of fresh air for television. Let me know your guys' thoughts on School Spirits in the comments below, and until the next ghostly reunion, I hope you all have a great day.
Huh. Oh. You are invading my space, Blue Eyes.